understanding of these taxation measures, of what should be done, of introduction of new taxes to people who've never been paid tax before, that probably it's lacking. Do you feel that that could be contributing to the, probably, if I may call it, lackluster involvement of Kenyans in this process? Many people are not even talking about the budget in comparison to what happened in 2024, where there was a lot of discussion even online about the budget making process, the taxation and all that, going to the extent of even translating it into vernacular. What do you feel, or do you agree with him that there's a gap that exists in as far as what people understand on taxation?
We are almost a year to the elections. I think Kenyans have made up their minds that, you know, we need to get rid of this government. And because, you know, the poverty index, 40% of Kenyans today are living below the poverty line. And the poverty index continues to increase. The economy is shrinking. The reality of the matter is that we have sustained an economy over the last 4 years that's not expanding. And therefore, more and more Kenyans are moving into livelihoods that cannot be guaranteed. Pay slips are shrinking. Those who rely on businesses and informal businesses are even more uncertain in their businesses. And therefore, when you sit down and you see a president and a government putting in a 4.8 trillion budget, of which I don't know why we are praising them for doing basic things. We were saying Kenya is a lower middle income economy going to Singapore. When we have a government that's going to Singapore, we cannot be praising them for paying teachers and health. Those are things that are non-negotiable for middle-tier economies that want to become, you know, high-income economies. He should be doing that. Certainly, they should be funding education, health sector, and basic infrastructure. We shouldn't be praising them to do that. That is basically what government should be doing. But what we are seeing is that beyond that, this budget contains so many areas where we are seeing pilferage and illegal use of government resources. We have a president that's funding his own state house budget, his executive budget, almost 8 billion shillings, I don't know, 13 billion shillings. To do what? That 13 billion is more than what some of the departments, which are key, some of the ministries are getting. I was seeing science, technology, and research, a key department. If we are saying we are going to Singapore, we should be investing in research, in knowledge, where we can create jobs, where we can think about the future of where jobs will be found, AI, big technology, think about the youths. There is nothing. There's probably 4 billion being funded like that. And we've seen, and we know, the president was flying private. He is right now in Norway. He's been flying around the world. There are concerns, there are questions from the public about the use of government resources. Nobody is answering to this. Corruption index has not reduced. In 2024, when we went to the streets, one of the guarantees is that he was going to stop, you know, illegal pilferage of government resources. He was going to reduce the corruption index. We've not seen that. And therefore, even if you tell us 780 billion has gone to education, and yet capitation to schools doesn't get there on time, even today, the unrest, part of why the schools have unrest is because of very small capitation to schools. Students are complaining about food, meaning the schools are not able to actually provide basic things such as food. So let's stop lying to ourselves that there is any joy in having a big, mega 4.8 trillion budget.
But what about the allocation to teachers? Because that has been a major promise by this president.
It's still a promise.
That he's going to hire. But yes, you see the allocation, there are specific allocations to some of those promises, like hiring, confirming intern teachers on permanent basis starting January. Yes. That was a promise he made. It's not backed by the budget. Do you think that in terms of balancing, yes, these are things government should do, but in terms of balancing and prioritizing, that at least probably he's trying to do a few things right, especially in hiring of teachers?
Yes, he is trying to do something right. But what we've always said, we cannot I mean, you can't give us with one right hand and take with the left. It's not sustainable. And that's why we have a budget that's not sustainable. Even that budget to allocate to teachers, we will see whether they'll have the money. Because we have a budget deficit of over 1 trillion shillings. We have a debt burden of 13 trillion shillings today. You know, so the sustainability of the budget and whether, in fact, KRA will be able to raise the revenue to be able to allocate to this. I don't know if we're going to do it. So it's a wishy-washy budget. It's nice to dream, and we are dreaming at the end. We are dreaming at the last budget of this government, and we know that it's not sustainable because there's a lot of misuse of government resources. So yes, you know, we all believed in this government. It was a better government. It was a bottom-up government. But the reality is that hasn't happened. A lot of taxes have been collected. People were fighting a lot of these additional taxes. And by the way, it is because of very serious fighting that Mbadi is careful this time around.
Has that sense of being careful changed anything? Because Kenyans appear a bit quieter.
No, we are done. We are just waiting for the next 13 months.
All right.
And let me finish by saying this. We have a lot of measures. The biggest concern we have is that this is not a Mwananchi budget. We haven't seen any. He's talking about Mitumba. I come from Kiambu County. I'm talking about farmers. Farmers who've told me animal feeds are completely unsustainable. They've kept raising these issues to them. Animal feeds were zero rated. They've made them VAT exempt in this budget. They are lying to us that VAT exempt will make animal feeds cheaper. But it's not true. I was sitting in a public participation where the finance committee is telling us we've made scrap metal VAT exempt to actually discourage the use of scrap metal. And then in the same measure, you are lying to farmers that the VAT exempt is going to make animal feeds cheaper. You know, it is not the Kenyans that are confused. It is the government itself that has been issuing various versions of the finance bill.
You mentioned the kind of pressures, fiscal pressures that